Good afternoon, race fans, and welcome to the show. Tonight we have a good one here. It is the 802 Riptide Radio Cup Series, and as you can see here with this aerial shot, we are at the Glen. That is right, Watkins Glen here in the playoffs. It's going to be a wild one, and it's going to be fun to watch as we have 55 laps here tonight. Of course, first we got our qualifying to get underway. 5 minutes, best of 2 laps coming at you here in about 15 seconds or so. Real quick, looking at the timing and scoring on the left here. John Ross, our points leader here in the playoffs, with the best time around the place with a 12.33. So we see some times fairly close, but it is all going to come down to here in qualifying because you want to be starting as close to the front as you possibly can here when it comes to road course racing, because with most leagues on iRacing, they will not have full course cautions to keep the show rolling. So if you have a mistake, you want to have that extra time and backup if you can. And why don't we look at the guy with the points lead here tonight? We'll take a look at John Ross here, as it is a long out lap here tonight to get these things going. As looks like Ross saying not feeling it that time, so he'll go back to the garage, reset, and try it again. So we'll take a look now at the 51 machine. This is Dalton Powell here on his out lap. So a long out lap to get to the start-finish line to start a lap, and if these guys do want a chance to put in a time, they have to do it pretty quick, because with the 5 minutes of qualifying, a lap takes about 1:15, and an out lap right here is about 45 seconds. So already 2 minutes of the 5 gone in just your first lap in the out lap. So if you make a mistake, you gotta quickly reset and try and go. But here comes Powell out of the final turn. He will look to the stripe, and the 51 machine is on the clock here at Watkins Glen. He'll dive it on down to the hard braking turn 1, the right-hander, then sweeps on out. Then we head up to the S's here, and this is where it can get very sketchy on the opening lap with some side-by-side racing. It gets very tight off of that corner and through this section here. Then, of course, head down the back straightaway and then into another hard braking zone of the bus stop. You can carry a good speed through here, but you got to be sure to hit your marks, and with cars in front of you or behind, it could spell trouble in a hurry. So bus stop, another corner we got to keep an eye on. Then the long right-handed carousel corner to the technically final straightaway before the front stretch here. Powell looking pretty good on pace here in the 51 machine, looking nice and smooth, and that is the key to a good lap here on a road course. Smooth as fast, and being able to back up your corners and get those good exits off, that's going to be where it counts. Powell in the books here, lap number 1, good enough for a 12.77, good enough for quick time, as we see Powell just missed the bottom there. And folks, that's how easy it is for a lap to go away, as we take a look now at the Leaf Guard number 16 machine. This is Steve Ritter here through the bus stop. So here on the left side of your screen, more times keep on coming in right now. Powell, we watched his lap, good enough for quick time right. Then AJ Koth in second, Nick Larson third, Leroy Cobblenetz in fourth, and then Christian Delgado in fifth here for the time so far. But looks like all cars out on the speedway here looking to take a lap, so we'll definitely see some shakeups in that timing order here, but we'll see what the 16 can do here at the stripe. Steve Ritter across the line, he will go to P number 3 with a 13.12, so only car that has clicked on into the 12s is Dalton Powell here at the moment. Ritter's still on it for a second lap, seeing if he can find a little bit more speed in that Leaf Guard number 16 machine. So about 16 cars in total here tonight. As Ritter about halfway done already with this lap here, and this is technically the second road course on the schedule, but the final one this season. But where it makes this road course kind of a wrench in it is it's a course in the middle of those playoffs. As Ritter across the stripe here, looks like pretty much hits the same exact lap time, as that will do it here for qualifying. And it looks like the 51 machine, we got to see his time live, folks, and he's walking away with the BG Graphics pole award here tonight. So congrats to Dalton there. He will be leading the field to the green flag. Speaking about the field, let's run through tonight's starting lineup for the Barefoot 55. Starting on the pole, walking away with that BG Graphics pole award, it is the 51 machine of Dalton Powell. To his outside, a great qualifying effort from this team. It is the 82 of Nick Larson. Then heading back to row number 2, we find the 6, that being piloted by Johnny Barker. And to his outside, the 25 machine of AJ Cawthon. Then Steve Ritter in that 16 machine will roll off 5th. 6th going to Leroy Calbanets in the 43 machine. 7th is Rob Lowell in the 21. 8th is the 31 of Christian Delgado. 9th going to the 4-car Brandon Guerin. And then rounding out the top 10, good qualifying effort from the 30. That is Ariba Ken. Then we head down to P number 11. That is the 52 machine of Dave Farella. 12th going to the 9 machine of Jeff Barefoot. 13th will be the 5 of Nate Coletta. 14th going to Frank Zinkin in the 62. Then starting deep in the field will be Kenny Reel in that 24 machine, sitting second in points. Then our current points leader, John Ross, in that 44 machine, rolling all the way back in 16th. That's a row we got to keep an eye on this start. Then our final row will be made up of Eli Raposa in the 46 machine, and then Jason Wiley in that 13 will roll off shotgun on the field back in 18th position. So that will do it for tonight's Riptide Radio starting lineup. So 18 cars making the green flag. We will keep an eye, see what will unfold, as first lap at our road course, always a little treacherous. These drivers going to be on their toes, but I tell you what, these guys have been putting on a great show the last couple weeks. Can't wait to see what they do here tonight. As of course, we got to thank some sponsors here while we got a second. That of course being BG Graphics, Out of the Woods Crafts, Riptide Radio, DTL Custom Graphcs, and Leaf Guard. So as the field makes it through the bus stop side by side, let's take a look at the track map here tonight for Watkins, Glen, and you can see those 11 corners here tonight. These drivers going to have to navigate right now on the top right of the track map in that big right-hand sweeper, the carousel corner. That's where the drivers are at right now to give you kind of a little insight of what we're looking at here. A nice day here in New York, 82 degrees. A little bit of humidity, but that should mean some good lap times here tonight. You want to find out more, keep up to date with some news, be sure to check out the 802 iRacing group on Facebook. Alrighty, folks, it's time for these drivers. Pull those belts tight one last time and get snug. Make sure they're in their rhythm, know where those break points are at, because we are about to turn them loose here as the iRacing Porsche pace car heads down pit road. We wait for the green flag. Dalton Powell on the loud pedal. Here we go, folks. We go green flag racing here at Watkins Glen. The field will roar down into turn number one. Powell by himself. A little bit of lockup here as John Ross making evasive maneuvers. He will, I believe, tag the 4 machine of Brandon Guerin. Guerin facing around the wrong way. Same with the 30 and the 21. Both of those guys are stopped. Looks like they get rolling, but a tough break up here as we see the rest of the field make it through the S's and now head down to the bus stop here. So only 3 cars initially involved there, so it looks like we will stay green. 1 car going around here. That is Dave Farella, able to keep that car facing in the right direction. So impressive stuff. He could have lost a lot more, maybe had some more damage to that car. You can see a little bit of damage to the right front there, but a long first lap, longer for some drivers here tonight, but we will look to complete as Dalton Powell leads lap number 1 here tonight at Watkins Glen. Nick Larson keeping some pressure, same with AJ Cawthon, then a little bit of gap to Johnny Barker, Steve Ritter, and Leroy Coblin. That's with Christian Delgado there. And a little bit more gap to our next group that's getting a little dicey as Jeff Barefoot under fire from Frank Zingen and Kenny Reel and John Ross. So on board with that Riptide Radio number 9 machine, having a pretty good run so far, just outside the top 10. And I believe his plan, just like most others when it comes to these road courses, mind his P's and Q's, make sure he hits all his marks. And oh man, look at this. Some wild off track with some drivers there as it gets very close between the 62 and the 44 machine. Everyone able to at least keep some decent pace, but you can see the gap already to the 24 of Real as he has checked out to about 10 car lengths in front of the 62 machine. Now John Ross looking to try and get around the 62 on the long way as Zingen very out of sorts. He somehow misses the pit barrels, but he has to go a long way down pit road at pit road speed. He at least didn't destroy a race car there, but an untimed pit stop definitely not going to help the race strategy here. Already 3 laps in of the 55 here tonight. Dalton Powell, first lap, best lap of anyone out on track, using that clean air, trying to drive away from the field right now, looking pretty sporty as he has grown that race lead to about a 1.5 seconds now for this 51 machine. We head back to the outskirts of the top 10 here. Kenny Reel and John Ross. Ross able to reel in Reel there, so he is now looking to try and get around this 24 machine. We'll look to the inside on the braking zone. Wasn't quite there. He will have to probably wait a little bit more time as we see the 62 out from pits. Looks like did serve his penalty, so will be trapped 1 lap down here, but still can live to fight another day back out on the racetrack. We'll have to see if a move will be made here into the bus stop. Ross definitely within striking distance. Maybe thought about it for a second, but stays right on the back bumper of that 24 machine through the bus stop and now into the carousel corner. And maybe right on it, maybe some contact, as that was very close heading into that corner. Ross will let it swing out wide, try and build some momentum. That will give him enough to get a nose in, maybe not, as he backs on out of it, so Real will be able to defend. But at this point, oh, some contact between the two of them there at the apex, so a little bit of beating and banging as we see Johnny Barker trying to catch Nick Larson. This would be a battle for P number 2. Barker right around his second back here at the moment. As we ride on board with the 6 machine, you can see just how much curb these cars are able to take here at Watkins Glen, kind of aiming right towards it on the entry of the bus stop there. Now here tonight, I believe 3 sets of tires over the wall, so we'll have to see if people decide to use them or maybe not. Try and make up some time, maybe take a set only once. As we see one car off the track, that's Eli Raposa. He will jump out of the way there, caught a little bit of grass, but able to keep that thing facing the right direction. Here we have a battle for the 10th position as Nate Coletta all over the back bumper of the number 9 machine. And right behind them we see some guys trying to rebound from their first lap incidents. That'll be the 4 machine of Brandon Guerin. Same with the 21 of Rob Lowell. Both of those guys started inside of the top 10. Right now, just outside as we see one car, a lot of smoke into turn number 1. That was the 5 machine of Nate Coletta. You can see him all the way in the barrier. So let's see what happened to Nate here, maybe at a little bit faster speed, as we see the 5 machine head down to turn number 1 and maybe just miss the brake marker just a little bit. Yeah, Jeff Barefoot on the brakes, Coletta trying to make evasive maneuvers, and once you get those tires locked up, it is so hard to stop these race cars. As you see them, both front tires locked and just kisses those barriers. As now we see the number 9 machine down on pit road. Excuse me, that was Jeff Barefoot. As we'll have to see what happened to him here in the bus stop. Has Brandon Guerin now behind that number 9 machine, and Baja's over that first curb. Everything looks all right. Coming out of the bus stop, just got that wheel hop to those rear tires, and that thing took off on that number 9 machine. And those ones are definitely very, very tough to save, especially with these Cup cars. I've said it before, especially on the oval side, but you can even see it on these slow speed kind of corners that there is no side force. So if you get these things sideways, you got to be able to catch it quick, or else it could spell trouble for you in a hurry. Further on back here, we see John Ross get around Christian Delgado for P number 7. So Ross up 9 spots from where he started, up into P number 7 now, as Delgado back into 8th where he started. So we head back up to that battle for second within half a second now. So Johnny Barker has been chipping away at this gap for second, and very good through the S's there, about now 0.4 of a second behind for the number 6. So Barker trying to be a man on a mission here, try and get up to P number 2. As now we'll start to see who's been taking care of tires, who has been laying them off on corner exit, because even though some road courses you think you'd be just killing these front tires, even with these 600, 650 horsepower motors, you can still light up these rear tires pretty easy, and once you do that, it is very hard to cool them on off. So Barker's still trying to hold pressure, but Nick Larson good through kind of the end of the lap and then the beginning of the next. He's able to extend the gap for a second now, so Larson seems like he's better with the corners that have long straightaways afterwards. Barker maybe a little bit more technical, able to carry some more speed through the tighter sections of Watkins Glen. As everyone spread on out here tonight, we ride on board. Oh, Dalton Powell, our race leader, a little bit of slip sliding through that second to last corner there. So maybe Powell's starting to feel some tires going away a little bit, but so far lap time's not showing that. Powell, one of the best cars out on track. And with that first lap incident, let's take a look here and see what happened to those drivers into turn number one. So you want to keep an eye on the 4. You see the smoke there. Oh, it looks like Dave Farella got in the back of Guerin there. Then further on here, the 21 and I believe the 30 make contact. Yeah, it looks like the 30 just gets loose, gets into the side of the 21, and that's what spins those cars around. Further back here with the 4, we will try and keep the camera on him, see what happened to Brandon Guerin into turn number 1. So looks like Rob Lowe a little cautious into turn number 1. Don't blame him for that. Dave Farella gets in the back of the 4, and then it looks like the 44 into that right rear quarter panel, and that loops the 4 on around. So that's what happened to a handful of cars at the start, but so far the best rebounding car of those, it looks like the 21 machine of Rob Lowell. He is back in the top 10, sitting in P number 10, but a long way to go to the next car in front of him. So interesting here, Brandon Guerin down on pit road lap 6 for just a splash and go. So we'll keep an eye, see how that plays out for strategy. But I would think with the 70% fuel in these race cars that, you know, you can just split this race in half, take some tires, and be on your merry way. But I could be totally wrong. It's maybe why I'm in the booth here, as we see Steve Ritter now under fire from John Ross, as we see Ross within 3 car lengths of the 16. This would be a battle for a top 5 spot here tonight. So John Ross trying to click into the top 5 for the first time here tonight. Ross already up 10 spots from where he started, but it's going to get very difficult for him to get around these guys, because these guys, even though they probably don't want to admit it, will probably be points racing in the back of the mind just a little bit. As we come back to some racing action here, John Ross still on the back bumper of Steve Ritter here on lap number 13 of the 55 here tonight. So these guys still duking it on out here for 5th. Ritter not going to make this pass easy, going to make Ross work for every inch of this. As out in front, Dom Powell still leads away. Nick Larson second, Johnny Barker third, AJ Cawthon fourth, Steve Ritter still hanging on to P number 5. Alrighty folks, back here. Sorry about that little difficulty. I think we had some rain clouds coming on over the speedway. Brought a little bit of intermittent signal, but back here John Ross did get around Steve Ritter. No punches thrown between the two of them. Ross able to get around cleanly as you have a little bit of lap traffic here in front of them. AJ Cawthon with an issue. He will try and go around. Heads up as looks like John Ross both trying to get around the line here. This could get hairy here as 3 cars duking around for position. It looks like everyone goes through cleanly here as Ross and Ritter both get around AJ Cawthon as we see one car there behind through the grass a little bit. As let's find out what happened to AJ there as he was up into 4th and closing the gap to Johnny Barker, as we'll see here down into turn number 1. Oh man, some big time wall contact for the 25 there. That handling's definitely got to be hurt a little bit for Cawthon there, but looks like just maybe missed the brake marker for the 25 and you see him down on pit road. We'll use a fast repair there. As Dom Powell out in front, a healthy lead, about 6 seconds now over Nick Larson. Larson able to get some gap, a little bit of breathing room to Johnny Barker, who sits in 3rd. John Ross up into 4th. Steve Ritter rounding out the top 5 as they run. As we jump back here, taking a look at our 6th place driver. That's a 43 machine, Leroy Colbinetz. He has Christian Delgado back there. A little bit behind, but 2 lap traffic cars in between him. So Delgado's got to navigate safely through here. Looks like the 30. Very courteous, gets on out of the way there for the 31 machine, but Delgado trying to close in the gap to that 43 machine before these first pit stops. I think this is one car we should keep an eye on from here. Kenny reeled down on pit road a little splash and go for the 24 machine, so he may be one of the first cars down on pit road to try and maybe make it to the next stop. I think this race should be a two-stopper, but we'll have to wait and see by the end of this one. Further up front, Delgado has closed the gap within half a second here, so a battle for 6th place probably underway here very shortly. Albonet's leading the way, Delgado in chase here. And I think while we got a moment here on the right side of the screen, the old trusty track map, any car we're looking at will be highlighted in that kind of lime green there. So looking at the 31 machine, but that will give you an idea of where cars are around the speedway here tonight. So Delgado able to get in between about half a second, but has not been able to get too much closer to the back bumper of that 43 machine. I think we got to go to a closer battle here at the moment. Going to be a battle for a podium spot, that is, as John Ross has closing into the back bumper of Johnny Barker. Barker a little bit out of sorts there. Here comes Ross. Should show up. There he goes, flying on by the long way around. So John Ross up into P number 3, up in the podium positions here. It is not halfway in this race just yet. As we see Ross come out of the bus stop there. Nick Larson about 2.5 seconds in front of that 44 machine, so Ross definitely fastest car on the speedway, but he is going to have a tough time to catch our race leader, Dalton Powell's, or one car very wide. That's Johnny Barker. Luckily, no sand or anything too close to the speedway there. As now Barker under fire from Steve Ritter. As Ritter will look to the inside going into the bus stop. Has to get on the binders a little bit harder that time. As all these drivers pretty much know at this point, it is not worth it to dive it side by side into the bus stop at this point in the race. Ritter will once again try and close in that gap here tonight. So of the drivers that already pitted, AJ Cawthon looking the best out of all of them, sitting P number 8. Then Kenny Reel sitting P number 9 as well. So both of those drivers have already pitted, as that leaves just our top 7 have not seen it down pit road here tonight. As here we go, folks. John Ross reeling in P number 2, Nick Larson here tonight. Ross within striking distance here into turn number 1. Probably going to be just a little bit too far back here. We'll probably try and set something up out of the S's before the bus stop here. As maybe even sooner, as here goes Ross to the inside of Larson. So John Ross up into P number 2. Steve Ritter still has not got around that 6 machine. Johnny Barker once again putting in a great race so far in this number 6 machine. As he's got the team name on the hood and the side of that number 6 machine. That is, of course, the Wolfpack Racing. As Dalton Powell, last time by at the stripe, folks, saw the cross flags. That's right, we are already halfway done with tonight's race. So Powell, we will keep an eye on the gap to Powell and Ross here on lap 24, about 9 seconds, as here's Ross and Larson down on pit road. Maybe going to try and undercut this race leader, as we see a very busy pit road. 4 of the 5 top 10 all down on pit road here on lap 24. As we see some more as Christian Delgado comes on down. The only cars staying on out is Leroy Calvinets and Dalton Powell. As there we go, we see the 43 machine running another lap. Same with our race leader. As here rolling off of pit road, Ross, of course, out there with a decent amount of time. Larson will get rolling here. There will be a close race between Barker and Ritter. It looks like Ritter winning the race off of pit road. Doesn't have to do that pass out on track for the 16 machine. Here we go to our race leader, keeping that car nice and low and slow, heading down to pit road. It is a very slow pit road speed. Don't want to get dinged with speeding, because especially here at the road course, have no chance at a yellow flag to help save your race. You're pretty much waiting for another driver to make a mistake, as we'll see. I would have to think Calvinet's down on pit road this time, unless he's going for a bonus point of leading lap. But it looks like rolling that apex nice and slow. Here we go. We see the 43 machine down on pit road. So Christian Delgado extended stop there, got a speeding penalty, so he will roll out back, it looks like, in the 12th position. So a tough break for Delgado, as we see our race leader heading back out to the speedway. Dalton Powell back under speed, but this guy already up to sawing. John Ross able to cut Powell's lead by short pin that lap to about 5 seconds back and closing, as Ross trying to drive the wheels off this number 44 machine tonight. It is actually not halfway as I relook at the lap counter, so sorry about that, everyone, folks. We are almost to the halfway mark, with the first round of pit stops now complete here tonight. Further on back, we see Brandon Guerin back into the top 10 for the first time here tonight. Remember, Guerin involved in an instant lap number 1, has made up some decent time, and now kind of sandwiched in between a battle here between the 21 machine right there out in front and the 62 machine right on his tail. These cars all racing for a spot just outside the top 10, but they know every position matters here in these playoffs, especially at a kind of wild card race both tonight at Watkins Glen, and then I believe Talladega coming on up too. That will be another wild card race for these playoffs. You know, let's ride on board with the number 4 machine of Brandon Guerin, see what a lap is like here around the Watkins Glen Speedway. You can hear Guerin there really working that throttle pedal, really lit up those rear tires, and you saw that car kind of get out of sorts as we'll see the 62 fly on by there. Got a better exit out of the S's than Guerin with that little bit of wheel spin. As you see 62 dive down on pit road, and that pretty much does it, folks. That is a lap around Watkins Glen Speedway here. As we now take a look here at our second place driver, John Ross, has now brought that race lead within a second. So we're going to keep an eye here at the battle for the race lead. And that time by, folks, the 51 machine of Dalton Powell saw the cross flag. So we are already now officially halfway done with tonight's race. And you can see John Ross really likes to swing exit of the carousel really wide, try and keep as much momentum in that race car as he can. But yeah, I wonder, is that killing that left front here tonight? Because here at Watkins Glen, there's quite a bit of high speed right hand turn, especially that carousel corner. So now within about 0.6 of the second is the gap for our race lead here. Let's ride on board with our race leader, Dalton Powell, looking back at our second place charger, John Ross. Ross already up 14 spots from where he started back in that 16th position. Now trying to go from the back to the front as he is within striking distance here down into turn number 1. Powell last time by 13.22, that time 13.2 as well, so Powell hitting his marks as Ross a little bit quicker down in the 12-second marks. Knowing these guys, it will be a hard-fought battle because they know a lot is on the line here. As Ross will look to the technically right side of that race car there, think better of it to dive it down to the inside at this point. As we get some super close battles here. Johnny Barker all over the back bumper of Steve Ritter. This is a battle for P number 5 as Barker, I believe, had a little bit longer, no, about the same pit stop. We did see Ritter beat him off of pit road. Now Ritter gonna maybe have to go on the defensive here. As he will look to the inside, get a little bit of lockup. He will lose a little bit of time here as side by side into the S's. Further on back, P number 10, Brandon Guerin, Christian Delgado. Delgado with fresher tires will get around the number 4 machine. So we got kind of 3 separate battles here going on the speedway as I take that back. John Ross out in front here tonight. John Ross able to get around Dalton Powell, so new race leader, the number 4 machine of Ross, he's hoping to set sail as we have gotten down to the countdown clock. That is right, folks. 25 laps here to go at Watkins Glen. So with these two duking it out, we head a little bit further back. Steve Ritter, Johnny Barker, I believe, side by side through the S's as no Ritter, big time out of sorts on entry to the bus stop. A little bit of Baja off-road in action, but somehow Ritter able to hang on to that race car as he was about 45 degrees sideways there into the entry of the bus stop. That is a heck of a save by the 16 machine. So everyone pretty spread on out here at the moment. So let's run down the racing order here. John Ross leading the way, just took over the race lead about 2 laps ago. I believe Dalton Powell, with leading all those laps, should get the award for most laps led. But he currently sits in P number 2, qualified on the pole. Still looking to have a very strong run. I mean, all it takes is one mistake from any of these drivers, and this race could be flipped on its head. AJ Coffin up into P number 3, though last pitted on lap 15, so he will probably have to come down another time here before it's all said and done. Nick Larson in this 82 machine, he's having himself a great day here. Larson has hit his stride when it came playoff time in this season. He sits P number 4. And head back to our last car in the top 5. It is the 6 of Johnny Barker, able to get around Ritter with a mistake there. So Barker sits 5th, 6th going to Ritter as we see Ritter dive down on pit road. Final stop of the day. So that moves Kenny Reel up into 6th, trying to have a bounce back here as we saw that pit stop there on lap 16. So I believe some different strategies. The guys that pitted maybe on 15 and then 30 or so, maybe 35, so within probably the next 10 laps trying to stop this race as everyone else maybe tries a 1 stop. Leroy Cobblenetz sits in the P number 7 spot here at the moment, getting around the 16 of Ritter. Rob Lowell running in 9th, able to rebound from the lap 1 incident. And And then Christian Delgado right on his back bumper here. This could be a battle for a top 10 spot here. I tell you what, Delgado, though, once he gets in a rhythm, man, is he good, running about the same laps each and every lap and just putting in the consistency, and that's what you can pretty much all you can ask for here at the road course. You're making sure you stay facing the right direction on the speedway, stay consistent, and that's all you need. But you can see a little bit further back, John Ross looking to put these guys one lap down. So let's take another peek at the track map here and try and see where your favorite driver is out on the speedway. As we see Delgado going around the 21, looks like a coordinated move a little bit, trying to lose as little time as possible. As here we go with the undercut. Dalton Powell down on pit road for the final time here tonight. He's going to try and undercut our race leader, John Ross. Saw how it worked out for the 44. We'll see how it works out for this 51 machine. You know, as we close up to 20 laps to go, I say I take a break from talking here. It seems like things are rocking and rolling. Hopefully I get to knock on some wood and nothing crazy happens from this point. But what do we say we do a little turn 3, turn it up, as long as we don't see a whole bunch of people come down pit road here, which it sounds like may be happening. As I'm hearing some radio chatter from the spotters calling down a handful of cars here, but looks like one of them being the 21 machine of Rob Lowell is John Ross. Now we'll see 20 to go here tonight at Watkins Glen. It looks like a decent amount of cars still out. Looks like second place AJ Cawthon down on pit road. He will bring along the 82 of Nick Larson. So all of those guys down on the speedway. That moves Johnny Barker up into P number 3, but having to make at least one more stop here tonight. So Powell having a little bit of lap traffic around him. That's not going to help his undercut here. He wants to see as much clean and open track as he possibly can. As we see him now re-enter the top 3 here as AJ Cawthon and Nick Larson rolling off of pit road here. Looks like they will safely merge, and now let's do some turn 3, turn it up. Alrighty, folks, we come back here now with 18 laps to go. We gotta wait for our race leader. When does he come down on pit road? Looks like a battle for P number 4 heating on up here. The 43 machine has not made the final pit stops tonight, so Cawthon has to be smart with timing this move, because he can't take too much time because he's got the 82 of Nick Larson there right behind as well. Timed it up beautifully off of turn number 1, gets clear by the time for the S's, and he will try and set sail. He's racing the 51 of Dalton Powell. Powell just a straightaway ahead, but in some lap traffic here. Now Colbinette's under fire from Nick Larson. Larson will walk on around the 43 machine on that inside lane, so move Larson back up into the top 5, and it's going to be very close for all these drivers when they come out of pits, because it looks like total pit time around 40 to 50 seconds, and that's about the advantage John Ross has over Dalton Powell. So it is going to be very close, and Johnny Barker will probably be in the thick of these battles by the time he cycles out off of pit road. As we see maybe a battle for a top 10 finishing spot. Rob Lowell under fire from Brandon Guerin here. Lowell down on pit road last time on 34. Guerin down 2 laps earlier on 32, but Guerin has found some speed in that number 4 machine, able to reel in this gap here. So 21 machine, last car in the top 10. Guerin, first car outside of the top 10. These guys battling for position here, as it looks like, well, pretty good. They're in and out of the S's. Guerin will try and make up some time here into the bus stop. Oh, as he loses the front end there right in the middle. Kind of that left hander in the bus stop, and you saw that car kind of slide off the groove and into the grass. That's how precise you have to be in the bus stop. I mean, it's hard enough to run one car through it, but it is a whole different animal to even think about going side by side into the bus stop. Looks like Lowell able to drive away a little bit from the 4. We head back to our race leader, John Ross here. And it's got to be only a matter of time before we see Ross down on pit road at some point. As we see the 44 stay out another lap, now making it 14 laps to go here tonight. Looks like 2 cars done for the evening. Looks like the 62 of Frank Zingen and the 52 of Dave Ferrello. As you see Jason Wiley going another lap down there. Swings out of the way of our race leader. We head back to this battle. It has closed back up, and then we see the 25 machine currently sitting in P number 4 in this tussle as well. So a lot going on here, but Guerin was able to crack within half a second of Lowell. Now we'll have to see if Guerin can stay right on the back bumper of Cawthon and maybe use Cawthon to pave himself away by the 21. As one car a little bit slow there. Coming off of turn number 1, Christian Delgado kind of on his own island here in P number 9, but not sure what happened to him. It looks like a little bit of right front damage. As we see Guerin here once again starting to get within striking distance for that top 10. So this is closest battle on the raceway here with the 4 and the 21. So we'll keep an eye here once again on these two race cars. As we ride on board with the 4, Brandon Guerin. Oh, hang on to it, Brandon. Able to go up to the flat all the way in the marbles. Able to at least keep that car underneath him, but man, losing a little bit of time now to that 21 machine. Just trying to push just that little extra bit, and it came back to bite that 4 machine there. Dom Powell running some pretty good laps here. 13-2-1 last time by John Ross, so still in the 13-0s. So Ross, even on old tires, making that 44 machine fly around the speedway here tonight. Right on board with our 5th place driver, the 82 machine of Nick Larson. Larson gonna have a lot of cars in front of him to try and catch the 25, but he at least has about 4 seconds back to our 6th place driver, the 43 of Kyle Bonetz. So 8 cars still on the lead lap. First car 1 lap down, 31 of Christian Delgado, just going through that carousel corner. As this time by for the 44 machine of John Ross. He will head down pit road at the 10 to go mark. So here we go, folks. This is where it gets interesting. We'll get 10 to go at the stripe, and where does John Ross come out compared to Dalton Powell? Powell through the bus stop into the carousel corner, as Ross will get to his pit stall nice and safely. I'd have to think Johnny Barker here in the 6 also down on pit road here. No, he won't. He he will stay on out on the speedway. So it's going to be very close between Ross and Barker here. As you see Ross off of pit road. And I think I was being lied to a little bit with the gaps, let's say. Oh, a little bit of Baja action from Johnny Barker. As I mean, Ross had a great time on pit road. I see where he made up the time. John Ross, 2 tires, so didn't fill that thing up fully with fuel and only took 2 tires. So that's where he got an extra 8 seconds over Dalton Powell. So if I'm Johnny Barker, see that as well. I'm thinking when I come down pit road, maybe even just fuel, no tires. As we see the 82 machine, Nick Larson able to get through these cars, but man, Rob Lowell and Brandon Guerin still duking it out for that last top 10 spot here tonight. Rob able to get some distance now over the 4 machine, has increased that gap to about 1 second on the speedway, so that's about a gap of 1 second between the 21 and that black number 4 machine. As Lowell overdriving the exit of the bus stop, that will hurt his time a little bit and the speed he can carry through this right-handers. Guerin should be able to close up some gap, and yes, he does. Able to bring it within half a second by the time they get through the braking zone. So these guys duking it on out here tonight. As this time by, we see 8 laps to go. Johnny Barker rolling off of pit road. Looks like he will cycle on out right in that P number 5 spot, as he will actually come out right behind that battle between the 21 and the 4. Nate Coletta will have to swing a little extra wide into the S's there in that 5 machine. Coletta up 1 spot from where he started here tonight. He's up in the P number 12. Jason Wiley, 3rd biggest mover. He is up to P13 in the 13 machine, so he is trending in the right direction. Always a good sign when you come to a road course. 2nd biggest mover, start on the same row as John Ross, has made it up to P number 8. That would be Kenny Real. I believe Real had that kind of super short pit stop. Not sure what happened to him, but that definitely affected this 24 cars race here tonight. Leroy Colbinette's down on pit road for the final time here in this 43 car. Came down on pit road P number 7. Should come back out around that P number 9 spot. If I had to guess, it would be pretty close between him and Delgado. Johnny Barker did do that short strategy here. He either took no tires or just 1 set of tires, as he had a 7-second pit stop in the stall, as you see a little bit out of sorts for Barker as coming out of that bus stop. But luckily Barker just needs to hit his marks, has 2 seconds over Steve Ritter. You see Ritter just coming off that corner back there, so Barker just has to keep hitting his marks and not make any sort of big mistake that Ritter can really gain a lot of time with. That battle between the 21 and the 4 has once again kind of cooled on off here, so no super close battles at the moment as we jump back up to our race leader. And off of the final corner here, folks, John Ross will see the open palm from the flagman. That is right. 5 to go around Watkins Glen. Still, you know, we got at least 6 minutes worth of racing, if not more, left in us. So hang on to the edge of your seats because anything can still happen here with 5 to go at the Glen. Top 5 looking like Ross, Powell, Cawthon, Larson, and Barker. Then from 6th to 10th, it is Ritter, Rio, Cabonets, Delgado, and Lowell. Guerin, Coletta, Wiley, Raposa, Caton round out the top 15. Then Barefoot, last car on the speedway. This guy was fast in practice, wasn't able to put in a qualifying time, but that didn't stop him from slicing and dicing his way through the field. A little bit of contact there at one point, but that's just because first lap turn 1 stuff. But John Ross now seeing 4 laps to go and looking to increase his points lead. Especially with these sequential gearboxes now, folks, of these next-gen Cup cars, man, does it make downshifting so much faster. You can kind of really bang through the gears and really let the car kind of slow you on down if that's a way you like to drive. But you got to be careful, don't want to downshift too early and try and blow one of these things up. Here we go, folks, battle for P number 10. Once again, heating on up more than it ever has. Here's Guerin right on the back bumper of that 21 machine. Oh, Brandon got the rumble strips kind of bad there. Upset that race car, got a lot of tires spinning. Once again, allows that 21 to get on by as we see Johnny Barker trying to get around these guys as well. As Barker's going to try and get through as quickly as possible because Steve Ritter's closing in the gap as well. So a lot of battle in between these 4 cars. 2 cars battling at a time with each other. The 6 versus the 16, then the 21 versus the 4. As Steve Ritter able to get around Guerin. So now no cars separate a battle for a top 5 finishing spot. Here with this time at the stripe, it will be 3 laps to go. So as those things take a second to condense back to each other, we look at the race leader here, and this time at the stripe for the 44, we see popsicle sticks from the stand. That's right, folks. 2 laps to go for the 44. As once again, here we go, battling it on out. Steve Ritter gets around the 21 he is way wide. That allows Brandon Guerin to sneak on by. So here we go, folks. Brandon Guerin versus Rob Lowell. Lowell able to get back in front. These guys gonna have 2 laps to decide who wants this top 10 finish more here. You can hear Guerin all over this throttle brake wheel. He is trying to wheel this race car around these last couple laps, and at the stripe this time by, we see the white flag. 1 more lap to go for John Ross. We're currently looking at a battle here for P number 10. These guys have been nose to tail, I want to say the last 10-15 laps. Have not gotten them 2 sorted on out just yet. Guerin trying to swing it a little bit wider, carry some momentum. We'll have to come back to this later because through these final couple corners, we got to head up to our race leader, John Ross, looking to add another notch in the win column here, and doing it at a very technical place like Watkins Glen has got to feel pretty good. John Ross, 2 more corners left for the 44 machine. He will make his way on through nice and easy, no extra risk involved. Off the final corner, here he comes. John Ross is going to walk away with the win here at Watkins Glen. Dalton Powell had a lot of speed here tonight, just came up short. Qualified on the pole here, and he will walk away with a P number 2, so we'll get a chance to talk to him before it's all said and done. It looks like AJ Cawthon here off the final corner will round out the top 3. Then we got to head back, see how this battle concludes, as looks like Johnny Barker able to hold off Steve Ritter for that P number 5 spot. Here for P number 10, it's going to come down to the last corner. Brandon Guerin will try and drive it in deep. Just won't be enough, as they'll try and drag race to the line. Rob Lowell able to hang on to P number 10, but a heck of a job for those 2. As we take a look here at turn number 1, and John Ross burning it on down with Christian Delgado. So John Ross picking up the win here tonight. Don't go anywhere, folks, because after our post race, we will be talking to our top 3.
iRacing is a sim racing game that combines a true-to-life racing experience with an online community of virtual racers from all around the globe. iRacing offers a multitude of officially licensed cars and tracks, laser scanned with millimeter accuracy. Their car models and mechanical systems are based on real-world physics, engineered in cooperation with manufacturers and race teams. Their skill license system ranges from rookie to pro, ensuring members are always pitted against those with similar skill sets. Members are able to sign up for a weekly race series, compete in time trials, host a private race with friends, and participate in racing leagues created and run by the community. With over 170,000 members, iRacing works in partnership with renowned motorsports organizations like NASCAR to deliver virtual races based on the real-life NASCAR Cup Series, as well as many other series on the NASCAR ladder. iRacing also features team racing, providing a variety of options for members to create and manage their own teams. Race with friends or real-world teammates in full-length endurance events like the 24 Hours of Daytona, Spa 24, or the Bathurst 12 Hour. Additional partners include IMSA, World of Outlaws, Supercars, and IndyCar, allowing members to race in their very own Indianapolis 500, Bathurst 1000, Chili Bowl, and many more iconic events. This is iRacing, delivering the most authentic racing experience short of getting into a real race car. Sign up today at iRacing.com.
Alrighty, folks, we head back to Watkins Glen International Raceway and talking with our top three. So first, we gotta dial up our third place finisher, that being AJ Cawthon. AJ, do you got a copy of Brett the Jet in the booth here?
Yes, sir. I got you.
Alrighty, man. Watkins Glen, at least done and behind you. How are you feeling about that race? That had to be a pretty long 55 laps.
Yeah, I feel pretty good about it. I did a lot of practice this week, and that's my favorite road course. So I knew going in I'd have a decent time, and then figured John would be faster. And sure enough, he was. But yeah, it was a good race. A lot of fun.
Yeah, that it was, AJ. You put on a heck of a show, finishing in the podium spots, qualified, I believe, fourth as well. So a lot of speed here tonight, and like you said, probably came down to a lot of practice for you.
Yeah, I can't even tell you how many laps I turned in practice, but it was a ton. I did a couple fuel runs, I know, throughout the week, and just to see what it'd be like on old tires. So yeah, I love running the course anyway, so that helps.
Now, I believe, did you, I believe you, of course, two stopped it, but were you one of the drivers that pitted on lap 15?
Yeah, I smoked the wall. I was unchecking my tires, and by the time I looked up, I was about halfway into my turn one braking zone. So I got into the wall and had to use a quick fast repair. So yeah, I pitted earlier than I wanted to, but it still kind of worked out.
Yeah, that it did it. Luckily, you're able to limp this car around. Sadly lose a little bit of time, but overall able to bounce back with a podium. That's got to feel pretty good.
Yeah, I will certainly take it. I wasn't sure what kind of damage I was going to have or if I was going to be able to make it back around, but yeah, just a little steering damage, and yeah, I made it. And I think I was in third, so cycled back around.
Yep, that it did. Luckily, like you said, was able to take a pit stop with it, get the damage repaired, and get back out there. And kind of these trifecta of tricky tracks, let's say, kind of wild cards. Talladega 2 weeks ago, tonight with Watkins Glen. How are you feeling about North Wilkesboro next week?
That should be interesting. I do like short tracks, and that's a fun one. But I guess we'll see that. That certainly is a wild card, as you said.
Yeah, that it is. As AJ, always a great time chatting with you here in the booth. But I think before we let you go, you got to give a shout out to maybe some people watching at home, or who makes this 25 car machine so fast on the car.
Well, I got to thank, first of all, Riptide Radio and all those guys for sponsoring the series, and 802 and all the guys there. And want to thank my buddy, the amazing Goat Boy, for all the tips and tricks. And I want to thank you guys for putting these on. It's a great time watching the broadcast. So you do a great job. So thank you.
Alrighty, well, appreciate the kind words there, AJ, and as always, best of luck to you here in the future. Hopefully we'll be talking to you again by the season, before this season wraps on up, but here tonight, you have yourself a good one, and go celebrate a podium finish for you here.
Yes, sir. I appreciate it.
Alrighty, folks, that was AJ Cawthon, our third place finisher. Now let's dial up our runner-up finisher, that being the 51 of Dalton Powell. Dalton, do you got a copy? It's Brett the Jet in the booth here.
What's going on, Brett? How you doing tonight?
Pretty good, man. Pretty good. How about yourself? How you feeling after 55 laps around Watkins Glen?
Oh, not too bad. I got a little too conservative on my runs, but it is what it is.
Yeah, I was going to say, let's talk about this race. So, walking away with the BG Graphics Pole Award, had a lot of speed, only car in the 12s when it came to qualifying, but when it came around race time, John Ross, man, had some pace. So did you, but like you said, do you think you just took it a little too easy for a little too long?
Yeah, I seen he was back there a good bit. I had 10 seconds in the pit. I kind of messed up my pit stop. Took a little bit more time than I would have liked, and when uh, it just didn't. I was in that defensive mode the rest of the time. Just I didn't never really get crazy on the fuel or on the gas, and just took it way too easy.
Yep, but being too easy could be a good thing as well. Able to walk away with P number 2. I know you probably would have liked to finish one spot better, but P number 2 after a tricky Watkins Glen, I mean, that's got to feel pretty all right, especially with these kind of 3 kind of tricky tracks, let's say, of Talladega, Watkins Glen, and then next week, North Wilkesboro.
Yeah, it does feel good. I mean, I'm a road racer, so I mean, of course, I want to come in here and dominate, but this wasn't in the cards today.
Ah, dang, yeah. So a little bit of a road course ringer, you'd call yourself?
Yes, sir. I do a lot of endurance racing, and this definitely don't handle like a GT3, but I can make it do some things it shouldn't.
Yeah, that's these things a little bit heavier than those GT3s. Well, Don, I gotta know what's your favorite track, let's say, to a road course race on, and what's probably the most relaxing, let's say, as well.
Well, I think after this past year running with my team at Bathurst, I think Bathurst just so unique going through the mountain, coming down through the mountain. I think that's like really challenges your skill. I enjoy it.
Yeah, that place definitely a fun one. And how'd you guys do in that race, if you don't mind me asking?
I believe we got a P4.
Nice. So 12 hours there, walking away with P4. Gotta feel pretty good about that one when that one's all said and done. A little bit longer than tonight.
Yep. And then on Sebring 12 we just had, we walked away with a podium. So pretty
Nice.
happy with where Highline Motorsports is on both sides of the ball, oval side and road side.
Yeah, it's awesome, especially the 12-hour Sebring having a little bit of rain. I mean, how was that on top of, not only navigating that thing for 12 hours, but add a little bit of wet track into the mix?
Oh, it's interesting for sure. You gotta be gentle. Can't go crazy. Can't
Yeah.
step on the loud pedal like you'd say.
Exactly. It's awesome stuff, Don. Well, always a great time talking with you, but I think you got to give a couple shout outs before you're all said and done and wrapped up with this runner-up interview. So, Don, I'll hand over the mic to you.
I just want to shout out my team, Highline Motorsports, Captain Dave Farella, my sponsors, Ghost Sim Racing, uh, BG Graphics for painting our cars and getting them ready for us, Team 53 for their coaching sessions. They actually helped AP out on this track, and then, of course, Coffee Racer. Without those guys, Highline Motorsports wouldn't be where it is now. Upcoming team on iRacing.
It sounds like it, Dalton. Well, awesome stuff from you here. Walking away with a runner-up finish and, of course, the pole award here tonight. So we'll let you go celebrate down there, and we'll catch you on the flip side. Good luck with the rest of the playoffs here.
All right. Thank you, Brett, and congrats to John, too. See you later.
Have a good one. As now we'll head down to Victory Lane here at Watkins Glen and dial up our race winner, that being John Ross, picking up another win. John, you got a copy? It's Brett the Jet in the booth here.
I got you.
Alrighty, man. It feels like we've been chatting a lot here, especially when it comes playoff times. And John, man, what a run tonight. Tell us about this race.
Yeah, road courses are they're a lot of fun, and they're kind of a crapshoot. And I didn't get a qualifying run in. My wheel disconnected, so I was trying to work on that. So I had to start in the back, and I thought I had pretty good pace. And it's just a road course. It's so hard to pass at Watkins Glen. It's trying to pick the right spots that you want to pass, and then people have to give you some room. So I got to give it to everybody. People gave us a lot of room. Certainly, as you could tell in lap one, the 4-car and I got into it. And I just sent him a message and apologized to him. Certainly, we don't want to race that way, but that turn one is always a big pile up, and I was on the brakes hard, but so that kind of happens. But overall, I think the race went really well. We didn't take tires the entire race. I wanted to run it out as far as my fuel could go on both of the pit stops. and just take just as much fuel as I needed to, just to shorten that last fuel stop up, and it just worked out for us.
Yeah, that it did, John. Able to get on and off pit road. I think one of the best cars here. I mean, when you're behind Dalton there during that second to last pit stop, the gap was about 10 seconds. By the time pit stop cycled, it was all the way down to 4. I was like, holy smokes.
Yeah, I think he might have taken tires on that one. I don't take tires on the road in the next gens, so it's quite possible he took tires, or maybe he was a little slow on and off. But and if you do take tires, it takes a couple laps for the temps to come up too, and I think that made the difference up. So if I come out and he had that 5 or 6 seconds to take tires and I didn't, and then he had to let him get up to temp, I think that was the difference there.
Yeah, it definitely certain well could have been. As I tell you what, John, I am very impressed. No tires that whole time, and I mean, for sure within 10 to go when I was glancing on your times, you're still down in like 13 O's. I was like, wow, this guy's got some pace, and even more impressive with no tires that whole run. I mean, were you babying at least the rears probably, right? Or how'd you manage to keep that pace and those tires?
I got to be honest, Brad. I was probably sending it the whole time, because I think I started 17th or 18th. So I just threw caution to the wind. I said I've got to get through here. But it really, especially on road courses in the next gen, it's about the front tires. So ultimately, if you can not overdrive the entry. And if the front tires slide, I think over the course of 55 laps, you're going to have a really serious issue. But I was really soft on entry. I was just driving it harder off, because you can control the grip on exit here a lot better than you can control the entry exit on the front, or the entry on the front tires. And so that's really what I did. I just kind of backed the entry off, made sure that I had good grip on the front tires where they would turn, make sure the car was straight before I throttled off, and really throttled off pretty heavy.
Man, well, appreciate some insight from the race winner here, John. That's some awesome notes. I'm jotting them down myself for whenever I have to endure some road course racing. And so, do you do any road course racing for fun on your own, or is it mostly NASCAR? I mean, how'd you feel coming into tonight?
Yeah, we do. So Leroy and Christian and I and a couple of the other Wildman guys that don't run in this series, we'll run some of the endurance events. And I've just started getting into the road course side of it. So we've run a lot of GT3s in the past 2 to 3 weeks. So yeah, I would say that I run a fair bit of road.
Yeah, and even though different cars, any road course racing helps, especially in iRacing. I tell people all the time, jump in something you haven't driven just to get out there. And I think overall it helps you mold, let's say, as a more well-rounded driver.
Absolutely, yeah. The more cars that you can drive, the better off that you can drive them. I think it would tell you a little bit of your racecraft. So I think if you can develop some racecraft with other cars, I think it helps you a whole lot too. And certainly on the road, the road cars will help you on short tracks, because it'll really teach you trail braking and things like that. So yeah, I think it definitely helps.
Yeah, that it does, John. And I tell you what, you got to be getting pretty good at these interviews. A lot of talking here post race, a good sign for the playoffs. But John, once again, we're gonna go hand over the mic to you and thank who you got to thank with this 44 team.
Yeah, I appreciate that, and obviously, Brett, I certainly want to thank you first and foremost, and all the sponsors for the 802 League, and again, these things are hard to run, and we are deep in the middle of the playoffs, so want to thank you for the fantastic broadcast, and of course, I'll go back and watch it later on tonight or tomorrow. Want to thank my Wildman crew, and that's Christian and Leroy. They're fighting for their places in the playoffs too, so want to thank those guys and really appreciate the conversations that we have in our chat. So thank you to everybody. Really appreciate everybody watching. Thank you. Really appreciate that as well. So that's why we do this thing, is for everybody to see it, for us to have a good time.
Yep, that it is. So John, you have yourself a great rest of the night. Go continue to celebrate down in Victory Lane. I'll get wrapped up here in the post race, and I'll join you for the after party, because I heard the crowd at Watkins Glen can get a little rowdy.
I'll be there.
Alrighty, John. Have yourself a great night, and we'll catch you at North Wilkesboro next week.
All right. Thanks, Brett. Appreciate it.
Alrighty, folks. That was our race winner and points leader John Ross getting the job done here tonight at Watkins Glen. Let's run on through tonight's post-race results and get us on out of here at a decent time. John Ross walking away with the win. Dalton Powell will finish second. AJ Cawthon rounding out the top three. P number 4 going to the 82 of Nick Larson. A great run for him and a great run for our 5th place driver, that being the 6 of Johnny Barker. Steve Ritter in the 16 will finish 6th. 7th going to Kenny Reel in the 24. Leroy Cobblenets in the 43 will finish 8th. 9th going to Christian Delgado in the 31. And rounding out the top 10 was able to hang on to that spot in Rob Lowell. 11th going to Brandon Guerin in the 4. 12th will be the 5 of Nate Coletta. 13th will be the 13 of Jason Wiley. 14th going to the 46 of Eli Raposa. 15th is Ariba Kane in the 30. 16th going to Jeff Barefoot. 17th is Frank Zingen. And then 18th and rounding out the field tonight will be the 52 of Dave Farella. Want to, of course, thank all you guys tuning on in here live, watching the show. Got to appreciate each and every one of you. And, of course, all the guys tuning on in to the replay here. I've been Brett the Jet in the booth from Turn 3 Racing Network. Be sure to check out Turn 3 throughout the week. We got a lot of great racing, a lot of great broadcasters, and a lot of great sim racing action to cover. Of course, if you want to support Turn 3 and our partnership with that logo in the bottom right of your screen, that is Premier Setups. Be sure to at least check out their website with the link in the broadcast. I'll take you right there and you can see what they have to offer with setups and paint stuff, with more to come with them. Also, we got to thank everyone here at 802 iRacing League and the Riptide Radio Next Gen Cup Series drivers putting on the show each and every week. And, of course, all the sponsors that make this series happen. That being, of course, Riptide Radio, the sounds of the salt, sand, and sea, broadcasting from Ocean Drive, South Carolina. Free to download for all the best in Carolina beach and boogie music. Of course, we got Out of the Woodcraft sponsoring the Rookie of the Year, and I believe John Ross also leading those points as well. BG Graphics, we got to give a shout out to, painting up a lot of cars in the series, always doing an awesome job. DTL Custom Graphcs, and of course Leaf Guard. So that will do it here from race, I believe, already up to race number 15, and at least race number 3 of the playoffs at Watkins Glen. So we'll catch you on the flip side next week at North Wilkesboro. It's going to be some old school short track beating and banging racing. You won't want to miss that. Everyone, take care, have a great, safe week, and we'll catch you on the flip side. I've been Brett the Jet, and I just flew by you. Have a good one.